We live in a world that tells us we need others to validate our dreams, to approve our choices, to hold our hands through every challenge. Society whispers that we're incomplete without constant connection, that solitude is loneliness, that walking alone means we've failed somehow. But what if I told you that the greatest warriors in history, not just on battlefields but in life itself, discovered their true power when they learned to stand completely alone? Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher emperor, wrote, in his private journal, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself and your way of thinking." Here was a man who ruled the Roman Empire surrounded by thousands, yet he understood that real strength comes from within, from the ability to face yourself without distraction, without someone else's opinion drowning out your inner voice. Think about it. Every major breakthrough in your life happened when you stopped waiting for permission and started walking your own path. Every moment of genuine growth came when you faced your fears alone, when you chose courage over comfort, when you decided that your vision mattered more than their approval. The Stoic warrior doesn't walk alone because they hate people. They walk alone because they understand that true connection with others can only come after you've learned to connect with yourself. This isn't about becoming cold or disconnected. This is about becoming so deeply rooted in your own values, so clear about your purpose that you can give from a place of abundance rather than need. When you master the art of walking alone, you don't become lonely. You become free from the exhausting game of seeking validation, free from the prison of others' expectations, free to love and serve from your authentic self. The path of the Stoic warrior is not easy, but it's the only path that leads to genuine fulfillment. Today we're going to explore 7 powerful principles that will transform how you see solitude, how you approach challenges, and how you build unshakable inner strength. If this resonates with you, hit that like button, drop a comment, sharing your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel. Most importantly, don't skip any part of this video. Each principle builds on the last, and you'll need all 7 to truly understand the way of the Stoic warrior. Drop this affirmation in the comments. Walk alone, I rise alone, I win aloneno. 1. Embrace the sacred solitude. The first principle of the Stoic warrior is learning to see solitude not as punishment, but as sacred space. Most people fear being alone because they've never learned to enjoy their own company. They fill every quiet moment with noise, scrolling, calling, consuming anything to avoid the discomfort of facing themselves. But here's what they don't understand: in that discomfort lies your greatest treasure. Seneca, one of history's greatest Stoic philosophers, instead of viewing this forced solitude as suffering, he used it to develop the philosophical insights that would influence humanity. For thousands of years, he wrote, "Every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end." His isolation wasn't emptiness. It was the fertile ground where wisdom grew. When you're alone, really alone, something magical happens. The noise of others' opinions fades away. The pressure to perform, to please, to pretend, it all dissolves. What remains is the raw, unfiltered truth of who you are beneath all the masks. This is terrifying for most people because they've built their entire identity around external validation. But for the Stoic warrior, this is liberation. Think about the last time you sat in complete silence with yourself for more than 10 minutes. No phone, no music, no distractions, just you and your thoughts. If that sounds unbearable, you're exactly where most people are. Afraid of your own mind. But your mind is your most powerful tool, and like any tool, it needs maintenance, attention, and training. Sacred solitude is where you develop your moral compass, when there's no one around to impress, no one to judge, no one to perform. For that's when you discover what you really believe, what you really value, what you're really made of. It's in these quiet moments that you hear the whispers of your deepest wisdom, the guidance that gets drowned out by the chaos of constant connection. The Stoic warrior schedules sacred solitude like they would schedule training for a marathon. They protect it fiercely because they understand that everything else in their life, their relationships, their work, their impact on the world, flows from the clarity and strength they build in these quiet moments. Start small. 5 minutes of intentional solitude. Each morning, no agenda, no productivity goals. Just sitting with yourself and observing your thoughts without judgment. As you become comfortable with your own company, Extend the time take, solo walks without podcasts or musics, 8 meals in silence. Travel alone. Sometimes you'll discover that solitude isn't empty, it's full of possibility. It's where ideas are born, where courage is cultivated, where you remember who you were before the world told you who to be. The stoic warrior knows that everyone else is fighting for external territory, but the real battle, the one that determines everything else, happens in the quiet moments when you're completely alone with your soul. No. Your opinion of me is none of my business. The second principle that separates the stoic warrior from the crowd is this revolutionary mindset: what others think of you is completely outside your control and therefore completely irrelevant to your ego path. Most people spend their entire lives as prisoners to opinions that don't even belong to them. They make decisions based on what their parents might think, what their friends might say, what strangers on social media might judge. The stoic warrior breaks these invisible chains. Eleanor Roosevelt, though not a stoic philosopher, captured this truth perfectly when she said, "No one can make you feel inferior without your consent." But let's take this deeper. Epictetus, who went from slave to one of history's most influential teachers, taught that we suffer not from events themselves, but from our judgments about those events. When someone criticizes you, insults you, or disapproves of your choices, they're not actually hurting you, they're revealing something about themselves. Here's the brutal truth: most people can't handle that person who judges your life choices. They're probably miserable in their own life. The friend who questions your dreams, they've likely given up on their own. The family member who criticizes your path, they're often projecting their own fears and regrets onto you. Their opinion isn't about you at all, it's about them processing their own pain, their own limitations, their own unfulfilled potential. The stoic warrior develops what I call opinion immunity. This doesn't mean becoming arrogant or dismissive of genuine feedback. It means developing the wisdom to distinguish between constructive input from people who genuinely care about your growth and the background noise of those who are simply uncomfortable with your freedom. Think about the last time someone's disapproval really bothered you. Now ask yourself, is this person living the life I want to live? Are they demonstrating the qualities I admire? Are they speaking from love and wisdom, or from their own fear and limitation? Most of the time you'll realize that their opinion carries no weight, because it comes from a place you don't want to be. The stoic warrior also understands that seeking approval is a losing game, because it's never enough. You could please 99 people, but that one person's disapproval will still haunt you. You could achieve everything society tells you to achieve, but there will always be someone ready to tear it down. The only opinion that truly matters is the one you have of yourself when you look in the mirror at the end of each day. This principle requires daily practice. Every time you catch yourself about to make a decision based on what others might think, pause, ask yourself, what would I do if no one was watching? What choice aligns with my values regardless of others' reactions? Then do that. Start small. Wear something you love that others might not understand. Share an idea that matters to you, even if it's unpopular. Take up a hobby that brings you joy, even if it seems weird to others. Each act of living authentically regardless of others' opinions builds your freedom muscle. No. The strength found in self-reliance. The third principle of the stoic warrior is understanding that self-reliance isn't selfishness. It's the foundation of genuine service to others. We live in a culture that has confused independence with isolation, self-sufficiency with selfishness. But the truth is, the person who can stand on their own 2 feet is the person who can truly lift others up. You can't give what you don't have, and you can't lead where you haven't been willing to go alone. Ralph Waldo Emerson, heavily influenced by Stoic philosophy, wrote, "Nothing can bring you peace but the triumph of principles." The Stoic warrior knows that relying on others for your emotional stability, your sense of worth, or your basic needs makes you vulnerable and weak, not because others are unreliable, but because it places your power in someone else's hands. Consider the airplane safety instruction. Put on your own oxygen mask before helping others. This isn't selfishness, it's wisdom if you pass out trying to help someone else first. Now there are 2 people in danger instead of 1. The same principle applies to every area of life. When you develop the skills mindset, and inner resources to handle your own challenges, you become a source of strength for others rather than a drain. Self-reliance means developing what I call emotional sovereignty. This is the ability to process your own feelings, solve your own problems, and maintain your own peace of mind without constantly needing others to rescue you, validate you, or fix you. It doesn't mean never asking for help. It means asking for help from a position of strength rather than desperation. The self-reliant person approaches